back. There's another edition of the Freelunch podcast. I'm one half of the game, BG the 27 kid.
I am your boy Tight. What's going on,
Man,
BGZ?
it's hot as Haiti around this camp.
It is. You back in the gym too, cause you put it on the text group for the boys. They need to get back and fight and trim.
It's time, man. It's time. If we gonna get out here in these pools, if we gonna get on these beaches in this sand, we need to be cut up from the floor up.
I agree.
And then too, you know, it's getting close to for my running season. You know, I like to get out here and do these 5K.
When does that start? When does running season start?
Well, it's whatever you want to do because there's races going on all the time. But I've set mine to run from like September until March, and then I take a break, about a three or so month break, and then I start training again. So that post that I made was my first day back in the gym, starting my training. So I'm climbing that hill again. I'm gonna try to cap the year off with a full marathon, 26 miles.
In March.
Nah, end of the year. So I have about 6 months to build up. There's a marathon that I'm looking at that's gonna go down in December. Mm-hmm. So I'm training up to get to that 26-mile mark by December. So that give me some time to work through my training plan.
Well, you gotta in some kind of way keep the people posted on your progress, because I think that's something that keeps it's entertaining to me, it's interesting and it's motivating, but you know, just to see the progression. But you just kind of like Bin Laden, you just show up.
That's right. That's right. You don't get no whole lot of build up, no whole lot of promo. You just hit them with it.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. You watching this World Cup, or you?
In and out, man. In and out. I saw a little bit of South Korea today and Mexico. I've been following Nigeria.
Are we rooting for Mexico?
Nah, like I told my fiance, I'm rooting for anybody from Africa. And she say, "You going for everybody black?" I said, "No." She said, "You not rooting for Cuba or Brazil?" I said, "No. I'm rooting for anybody from Africa." So
what's wrong with Mexico? We got a lot going on, and we gonna talk about it. They trying to cross that border and immigration and everything. We can't uplift our brothers down in Mexico.
We can, but when it comes to the World Cup, I'm going for anybody from Africa. So if it's an African nation, I'm rooting for it.
Shout out to Ancestry 23 and African Ancestry.
African Ancestry is the one you want to do.
Well, that's what we want to do, but I'm just saying, since the United States didn't make it into the World Cup, so now they trying to flip the marketing scheme and say that you should find out from my ancestry or African ancestry.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, find out what your percentage is and root for that country. So they trying to find because the United States didn't make it, so they trying to flip the script and find ways to get more people to watch. So I thought that was interesting.
What's up with that, man? All the countries that's involved that play soccer, we can't even get in the World Cup.
Well, we lost. I watched that game. Trinidad and Tobago ended up making it into it because we lost our final game. It's a disgrace. It's sad. It's a disgrace, but and because of that, I haven't been as interested or entertaining. Typically, we would be watching or wrapping up on the NBA Finals, but thanks JR. Because of J.R. Smith, the dog days of summer came a little bit early, and then thanks to the United States World Cup soccer team not making the World Cup,
left a void there. So now we got to go take a DNA test to figure out which country we should root for. But I already made my mind.
You got to go take a DNA test, see who you're gonna root for, or you can watch Canadian Football League, or you can watch EA Sports or whatever.
Or you can watch baseball. Shout out to them Braves. Them Braves hit that thing.
We can talk about this on another episode, but the wife got me watching Queen Sugar.
Oh, Queen Sugar, that's that fire.
You watch Queen Sugar?
About it? Man, Queen Sugar is the shit, man.
This is my first time watching.
What you think about it?
I've been enjoying it. I think they need to recast some of the actors, but overall, I think it's pretty interesting. I think the lady, the main character, I don't know what her name is, but she got the Michelle Obama overbite. I think she carrying the show.
No, did you really just say the Michelle Obama overbite?
That's attractive. That's sexy, because it's different. I mean, it stands out.
Okay, I didn't think
that's
about
the best
that,
way I
yeah,
can describe it. She carrying the show.
She's a strong presence on the show. I think they got a good cast. It's on their own network. So shout out to Oprah and Ava DuVernay and giving an opportunity to up and coming actors. So,
but you have to. I agree, but I just think it's a few characters. I won't say which ones, but a few characters. I think they should re kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They should recast. Now, I will say this. The only way to watch that show, the only way to watch Queen Sugar is on DVR. You can't sit there and watch it live because OWN and Oprah do a great job of giving you 20 minutes worth of commercial in between break segments. Because that commercial lineup is deadly on OWN.
Well, when people pay good money to get on there, especially with Oprah attached to it.
They pay, but that commercial. I want you to just record that commercial break between the first segment to the second segment of them show, and you have to fast forward because it's ridiculous. So, anyway, I thought that was entertainment. Well, other thing I wanted to ask you before we get into the show, I got a text from you last night.
Okay.
We received a text from you last night that confirmed something that I had been saying for a while.
About Vlad.
What did you say? What did the text say last night, sir?
Vlad is the feds.
He the feds, ain't he?
Vlad the feds. Vlad was doing I was on YouTube just going through videos and came across he was interviewing this artist out of Atlanta, Pee Wee Longway. And the first series of questions was you got a lot of blue. You got a lot of blue on your album covers. I see you wearing a lot of blue. Is that significant about anything? The man said, nah, I just like the color. You sure? You sure that ain't associated with no gang affiliation or nothing? Nah, I just like the color. Why are you not interviewing him about maybe his project, the album he got out, who he working with? Your first line of questioning is, are you gang affiliated? And was you a hustler in the street? How hard was you hustling in the street? Now, who gonna, in their right mind, answer them questions?
Well, that's what I've been trying to say all along, BG.
Yeah.
BG, and after you sent that text, I went and I did some research because I wanted to see what others thought. Prior to me making those statements about Vlad being the feds, that was just from my sixth sense. See, I got a sixth sense. It's called intuition and discretion. So that was from my sixth sense. I went and did some research, and it sounds like from just the commentary on the internet that a few other people think the same thing. Well, if you listen to his approach, and if you listen to how he kind of comes at interviews, and what's his name? Vladimir. So I'm going to start a conspiracy. What's the president of Russia name? Vladimir. Putin. Vladimir. Conspiracy. So
I'm just surprised that people continue. He gets a lot of views. So from a promotion standpoint, I'm guessing that's the only reason that people still agree to sit down with him. But you have to be prepared to give him just some generic, bogus answers, because if you start answering for real, ain't no telling what might happen to you.
Well, we know what happens. When you start answering for real, you find yourself being investigated and locked up. So I'm going to say it one more time and we can move on and start the show. But rappers, entertainers, former drug dealers, anything that you did in the past can and will be used against you if you sit down with Vlad. Don't sit down with him. He the feds. He is undercover. Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. I called it.
Interview at your own risk. It's crazy.
Interview at your own
It's
risk.
crazy out here. I also came across a video of Don King and Mike Tyson. They had a recent Boxing Hall of Fame. They had introduced Don King. Don King walked behind Mike Tyson, just kind of patted him on the shoulder. And Mike Tyson threw one on him. Say, don't touch me.
Yeah, that's not a good relationship
At all.
And Mike hasn't like, and that's one a minute. Because if you go back and listen to some of the previous interviews that Mike did, since they fell from liking each other, he eat them up. So apparently Don King was trying to apologize and trying to make amends during that particular incident that you're describing, and Mike not having that. Mike having that.
Remind me of my Mike. I got a Mike Tyson story. We had a family reunion in Phoenix, Arizona several years ago, and I'm in the airport getting ready to get on the plane. I come out of the bathroom. My cousin started pointing, and then Mike Tyson going in.
I got that. Yeah.
And all I could say was, "What up, Mike?" And let him go on. My cousin was like, "Why you ain't trying to get a picture?" I'm like, "Shit, I'm not finna mess with Mike Tyson going in the bathroom. He ain't finna chase me through the airport." But I did say, "What up, Mike?"
I did cool too. With it. Oh, it's funny that you said that because I'm back on the road.
Yeah.
And so traveling Monday mornings at the Atlanta airport, there's no telling who you can run into. See. And so thanks to lighting had to drop me off this week.
Yeah.
Thanks to lighting for dropping me off. I was at a curbside check-in.
Yeah.
Kind of just trying to mind my business. And I look up, I'm seeing a young lady, and the young lady is looking like Angela Rye. So I'm like, is that Angela Rye? Lo and behold, it's not Angela Rye, but it is Mike Epps with this young lady and his two children. And I'm like, oh, what's up, Mike Epps? How you doing? So I spoke to him and told him I appreciate his art and what he does. And he kind of said, thank you. And I left him alone. I didn't ask for no interview. No picture or anything like that, because the man just trying to get through security. So I thought that was pretty cool. And on top of that, I saw Brooke Baldwin, CNN anchor, one Thursday coming back from travel. So
we didn't know who the hell Brooke Baldwin was.
That's y'all lost.
Made me feel kind of bad. Made me feel like disconnected from what's going on in the world. Cause you said she on CNN. I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is.
You need to stay off that YouTube and watch the news and what's going on. But what we got on the show today?
Man, we got a lot. We got a lot going on, and a lot to talk about. ABC a few months ago abruptly ended the Roseanne reboot. They decided to cancel it after Roseanne made some derogatory statements, some racist statements, in my opinion. So they axed it, called it off, and then I think we came back on one show and talked about the possibility of them coming back with the show, but with a few changes to it. And as of last week, ABC has decided to come back with the show, but this time they're going to come back without Roseanne. They're going to call this show The Connors, so it'll be basically the family and everybody else without the presence of Roseanne. You think this is a good idea for ABC?
Well, first thing, let me say this. The derogatory statements that Roseanne said was towards Valerie Jarrett, and it was anti-Semitic statements as well that she made. So she definitely needed to be reprimanded. ABC, I think we said on the previous show, ABC knew what they were getting when they decided to reboot and hire Roseanne. From the links that I've read and the stories that I've read, ABC and Roseanne came to an agreement that she would no longer be on the show, hence the spinoff. She signed off on the spinoff. That's important.
Yeah. She
signed off on the spinoff, and her reasoning was that 200 plus people had lost their job, and she wanted to give them an opportunity to stay employed. So these individuals, staff writers, the actual actors, etc., they signed a 1 year, I believe, contract. There'll be 10 episodes at the Tuesday time slot, 8 p.m., basically the same time slot that Roseanne was filling. What's interesting to me is going to be, how do they send her off? How is she killed? Is she going to be written off? How is she written off? Is she killed off? Is she went to jail? That's what I think is going to be the most interesting part of this reboot. I think the first episode will be heavily watched. It'll reach that 20 million viewership mark because people will be interested in that. But afterwards, I'm not sure how the stability of the Connors can last without Roseanne. I think what ABC is doing is fair to those that were that were affected by the canceling of the show. But I don't see this as a lasting series for ABC. I think it'll be a one and done.
I think they had to do it. They committed to it in the beginning with expectations of it being a show that they could have on their lineup for a while, and the numbers were pretty decent. I think before they had to cancel it, the numbers were doing really well.
They were the highest on the network. So I think, like they said, it was like 20 million viewers. So they basically canceled the most popular show on their network.
So they had to do it, and they had to fill that void, that time slot, that not having that show left. So from ABC standpoint, I think it's worthwhile. It's worth a shot. You had these numbers to try to see if you can maintain it with other elements of that particular storyline. They're saying that they did it for the crew, and I think that's commendable. A good thing to do to make sure that those people stayed employed because it wasn't their fault. They just coming to do their job, and they just happen to be collateral damage. So from a business standpoint, I think it's worth a shot for ABC to do it.
I'm not going to sympathize. I'm not going to sympathize with those guys, though. And the reason why I'm not going to sympathize because they knew what they were signing up for. Now, I am interested to see if...
Well, hold on.
Oh, they knew what they were signing up for.
If you're a cameraman and you do camera work and they say, we need you to come and shoot this show, you going to turn that down?
I'm going to ask what show.
And then they say the Roseanne. We rebooting Roseanne. And we're going to pay you so many dollars an hour. And you ain't got nothing else going on. What you going to say?
I am going to go to Netflix like everybody else do.
Okay, Monique. Get undercut.
Nah, I understand what you're saying. And point well made. I was more or less referring to the actors and actresses, but to your point, it's bigger than the actors and actresses. So, point taken. BGZ.
Thank you, sir. One for me. Hot button topic. Immigration. We've seen the images. We've seen images of kids being separated from their families at the border. We've seen images of our politicians, people at the head, the president, attorney general, doubling down. And so our immigration laws have been really called into question, where they are, where they have been, and what they're going to look like. This past week, though, under the pressure, there was a lot of pressure because those images of these kids being separated from their parents, sleeping in these cells, basically similar to runners that you see dogs in when you're trying to keep them in a kennel or whatnot. These images been all over the place and brought a lot of heat to the White House. And so Donald Trump went forward and signed an executive order putting an end to children being separated from their parents, but it's only for 20 days.
And it's interesting because just to give you a visual, in addition to what we saw on TV, but I mentioned to you earlier that I'm traveling, and as part of my travel, I'm traveling and I'm kind of on the Gulf Coast where I can see that Alabama-Mississippi state line. And recently, during one of my recent trips, I saw a Border Patrol cop on the highway waiting on passerbyers or what have you. And so that was the first time I had ever seen that, being from the state of Alabama, driving between Alabama and Mississippi for years, to see a Border Patrol cop on the Alabama-Mississippi state line was interesting. And then as you fast forward, we started getting those visuals. We started getting the visuals of the baby, the audio of the babies crying, asking for their parents. You get the visual where you see the kids in those cages as you described. We see them sleeping on sleeping bags, or they look like more like those kindergarten mats. You remember in kindergarten where you had those little mats, and then they got tin foil
with some aluminum foil covers.
With some aluminum foil covers. And the question is how humane is this? And what's so scary is that the news outlets are even playing to the political side, and that is disheartening when you see a visual and you see these pictures of kids in these cages laying on kindergarten mats with aluminum foil as a blanket, and you got analysts over at Fox saying that this is like summer camp. At what summer camp did you ever go to where you laid on a mat and had aluminum foil? And at some point, we got to get out of the political piece. There needs to be some kind of humane or moral ethic that we have about ourselves and try to do the right thing. So I don't know the answer to how we resolve immigration problem. You've had several smarter people than I, President Obama and the Bushes, try to tackle this issue. But separating parents and children is not the answer. Yeah. Now, I can say that. So if you want to turn everybody around, turn them all around together. But you don't take the kids from their parents and not think that that's going to have a long-lasting effect. And that's just heartless, it's ruthless, and they just acting like a bunch of thugs behind protection. And when you get guys like Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who is willing to stand before and use biblical terms to make a false reference and interpretation, that is sickening. He's from the state of Alabama. He's had pastors and other people speak out. You got the evangelicals that are supposed to be so high and mighty, and they sitting here allowing this guy to make these decisions, and it's sickening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's using that scripture that has been used in a lot of scenario to justify cruel treatment. It's being used to support slavery, as far as basically that the laws are from God and the government is of God and people should adhere to the decisions made by government. But that is only one portion of what that whole teaching and those lessons are. It goes beyond that, because in saying that would assume that those people are truly walking in alignment with, if it's Christianity, they are walking in alignment with Christianity. But where in the Christian book is it to do what you're talking about, separating parents from their kids and leaving kids in that type of traumatic state? This immigration thing is tough though, because financially, even these quote unquote summer camps, I read somewhere where it's estimated that per person per day you're looking at around anywhere from $300 to $600 a day per person that you are for that moment accountable for. So that's a lot of money to run and to generate. And then they go through a whole legal process when they take the parents and put them before the court. That's more money being tied up. How can you maintain a space for immigrants doing it the legal way? You still want to be able to have that. But then how do you channel out those people who are willing to give their life to leave the country that they come from and find refuge in this country? How do you do that?
I was pulling up the verse that they like to reference, and that's Romans 13, submission to governing authorities. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. So essentially, that's what Jeff Sessions tried to use to justify these acts. And I have a problem with how these evangelicals, these people of certain stature, try to use biblical scripture to reinforce their beliefs and their thoughts. So I did want to just provide that scripture. The second thing, and this is really, to me, what is being missed and overlooked and what's really the telling story and why immigration is such a big issue. I believe it's in 2041. There's going to be a time where the majority becomes the minority. And so we are seeing that. We are seeing a shift. We're seeing a change in what America looks like. And that is threatening. That is frightening to those of the majority stature, some Caucasian white folk. And because of that, they are doing anything and everything they can to prevent the coloring of America from happening. The problem is that the coloring of America is going to happen because you have more people of color coming into the country. You have more people of color reproducing, making children. And so because of that, you can't stop what's naturally going to happen. And I think this is an attempt to, quote unquote, make America great again.
And to make matters worse, the president's wife, the First Lady Melania Trump, made a visit to Texas, to one of these places where the children were being held. And she gets off of the plane with a jacket that reads on the back, "I really don't care, do you?" Now, the jacket, the person that made this jacket did not make this jacket especially for Melania Trump to get on that plane.
Who is a immigrant?
And I don't even know if she even knew what was on the back of her jacket. Could she read that? Did she even know what them words were saying?
She knew what she was saying. She was sending a subliminal message.
But anyway, she had the jacket on. I think the jacket you could buy. Like, we could go out and buy the jacket. So it just so happened that she had this jacket on going to see these people. How in the world are you the First Lady? You got staff, you got people that are watching, you got handlers, people that are observing you at all times. Somebody probably even picked out her wardrobe for that particular day. And
I think you're missing it. Well, I think the jacket was directed at 45.
Well, now
so I think there's so what they're saying is that what the sources are saying, what they're reporting, the political experts are saying that Melania Trump and Ivanka Trump have been totally against this stance that 45 has been taken,
the zero
tolerance policy, and that this was a direct subliminal message sending to 45 is what the experts and people are alluding to. So I don't think it was so much at the children or the parents or the kids on the border. Apparently, we are watching conflict in the White House between the First Lady and the President. How long will this last? I mean, rumor is and the gossip is they don't sleep in the same room or the same bed. So that's what's being reported.
Problems in the White House. Well, that's a good way to spin it. Were them the Republican strategists or Democratic analysts giving that explanation? That Fox News?
No, this is CNN.
This CNN.
Yeah, okay. This was on the 2 p.m. Brooke Baldwin show that you missed.
Oh yeah, I don't follow Brooke, so it's up in the air. Somebody need to come forward and give us full-fledged explanation as to which way. Were they talking to the president or were they talking to the people? We need to know.
Apparently, they were talking to the president.
Hit us
what
up.
You got next? Hit us up. Let us know.
So the president signed that thing. Now he's looking like he did something great, even though it's in opposition to what he's been talking about all the time. But it's a temporary fix. It's only 20 days. And then after them 20 days, who knows what the hell going to happen. And we got to still account for like the 20-something thousand people that was already separated from the folks prior to him signing his executive order.
Well, it's a legal thing. The 21 days is supposed to be legal. Something about legally you can't have the kids away. They're separated. So we'll see how this thing pans out. What they've said and what's been reported is that the president has told them to halt immigration conversation and talk. He has told Republicans to focus on to essentially start campaigning now for midterm elections and they'll revisit this immigration ordeal once they win the House and the Senate in November.
It's all a game. It's been a hot summer for music. It's been music coming out of everywhere for the last. Ever since we've been back, it's been somebody dropping a new album. It's been Kanye,
Pusha T, Kanye,
Cudi. It's been
Pusha T.
It's been J Rock. I'm on that J Rock heavy. TDE.
Nas dropped something.
Nas dropped. It's been something every week. And last week or so, right after we recorded last week's show, we got another surprise album release from the king and queen themselves, Beyonce and Jay-Z. They didn't have any promo build up. The only thing has been their On the Run 2 tour that's been taking place. And I had just asked the question of, on this tour, are they doing any new music? Are they projected to have something new come out? And shortly after that, we found out about this release.
Album is 9 songs. I'll get into kind of what I like and what I don't like about the album, but it's 9 songs. They're currently, to your point, they're on the Run tour. They're actually on the tour now.
Yeah, still on.
And that's very important. And the reason I say that is because that's going to play into my commentary. According to Wikipedia, they started the tour June 6th. They end the tour October the 4th. They have a total of 18 shows in Europe. They are in Europe now. They have 30 shows in North America, so they'll do a total of 48 shows. It looks like they're doing 33 sets on this tour. So, I mean, as of today, with the new album that came out, I'm sure you'll see some of the sets be added or removed. But they start off with the Holy Grail. Just a quick rundown. They do On the Run Part 2, Bonnie and Clyde, Drunken Love. They do the Top Off. They do 99 Problems, Family Feud, N-Word in Paris. But they finish with Perfect Duet, Young Forever is kind of what they finish with. They are currently in Copenhagen, Denmark. That's where they are today. And then they'll be in the States starting July the 25th, where they kick off their first show in Cleveland. They do have dates in Atlanta, the 25th and the 26th are dates in Atlanta. They got 2 dates in Houston on the 15th and the 16th, and they finish off in Seattle on October the 4th. I have listened to the album, 9 songs. I only like 3 of the songs, to be honest with you. It's a dope, contemporary. They are kind of sharing. I feel like we got played. And let me tell you why. You got Lemonade.
Don't be out here now. Wait, watch what you're saying now. We got people that follow the Beehive.
I understand.
And I am an honorary male Beehive member. I'm a Brown Hornet.
I understand. I remember you saying you are.
I'm a Waltz.
I remember you saying that. I remember you becoming a Waltz.
I'm a Waltz.
And I remember the IG video that y'all put up there asking how y'all. I feel like I almost feel like this is part of the whole. Like they are so creative and so production oriented. You come out with Lemonade, you come out with Jay-Z's response 444, and then you come out with this is the trilogy, the last of the series, and you come out with Everything Is Love, and they even finished that album with this happy love ending story. And it just seems too much of a production to me. The album felt rushed to me. They're on tour. I feel like it had the potential to be great, but they just wanted to put something out there so that they can have some songs on the tour, on the show. I thought they did a fascinating job with Ape Shit. I think that's a great album. I think that Friends by far was the best song on that album. And then I think that Black Effect is a pretty nice song for me. So I think that those were the 3 songs that I enjoyed from the album. But again, I feel like we in the Matrix. We being played to a certain degree, as listeners of Jay-Z and B, and a lot of this seem made up.
They got to the point, man, where I don't think they really even have to do this anymore. Like, they don't really have to. They're just doing it for the hell of it now. Just doing it for the fun, for the love. How dope is it to have your wife, your partner in crime, your creative partner? You can go out, do shows, do songs together, make babies together.
Did you listen to the album?
I've gotten to like 3 songs. In the midst of, we got this tour going on. We know people want to hear us, and there are many. If they were to put out, they probably gonna go platinum soon, quick, won't take long. But with all that's going on, I do feel like it might have been just kind of thrown out there because of the momentum. Some people say they put it out there to crush Nas. That Jay may still be feeling sensitive about the whole Nas thing. Nas had come out the week before. People were just starting to get excited about his thing, and before they could really grasp on, the Carters released an album out of the dark of night.
The Friends is the best song by far on the album. It's pretty deep. Ape Shit is a good song. Did you hear what he said on Ape Shit though? Did you hear what he said?
Which part?
He liked Chief Keef and Rafiki.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna catch on to that part. Yeah.
What you mean? I'm gonna catch on.
What did he say? Something about who your Lion King or something he said.
Who is your Lion King or what have you? But the whole point is that I've been on Rafiki. I'm batting 2 for 2 now. I told y'all, DJ Vlad with the feds. I done see now this is what's gonna happen for the record. Now my IG has had Rafiki posted for months, maybe even a year at this point. Mm-hmm. I've always thought Rafiki was the best character that Disney ever created. He's an intellect and he do karate. So I always thought he was. And now you got Jay-Z rapping about it.
So what they gonna say?
Now other people. Oh well, they gonna say 2 things: tight, copycat. He following suit, or they gonna now everybody gonna want Rafiki. Now last week. What shirt did I have on last week, BG?
You had on a Rafiki shirt. You stood up and showed the people.
Before
we even knew about it. Before we even knew anything about that song. Before we knew anything about Friends.
No, Ape Shit.
Ape Shit. Before we knew anything about Ape Shit, you had the shirt on, sir.
I just want for the record.
And if you're watching this video, if you look very closely over tight right shoulder, you might see Rafiki.
Product placement.
We doing everything around here. Tell us we ain't on it.
Product.
Boy got a 6 cents.
That been there too. But I wanted to let the people know that I've been on Rafiki before, so I got a 6 cent. Now, at some point soon, America gonna follow suit. But it takes for Jay-Z and Beyonce to endorse the product before other people follow, and I just wanted to point that out. And something else I wanted to point out. Before I point that, I'm gonna let you finish your commentary.
I'm done. You good?
No, just go ahead and say one more thing about it, and I'm point out my other thing.
One more thing. I ain't got one more thing because I haven't legitimately listened to it, so I can't give it a review. I can't say it was a classic. I can't do that because I ain't really got into it like that for real.
I think you was right though that they did try to. That Nas album was just straight weak. Have you heard that?
I had 3 songs.
It's weak, man. It's weak.
3 songs.
And he out here giving out false information. He out here giving out false information to the kids. So it was weak. It was pretty weak. But that's not what I was here for. So I listened to the album, and as much as we know about Jay-Z, and as much as we know about Beyonce, we know just as much about Tata. Tata, let me give you the rundown of Tata. Mm-hmm. Since 1996, dead presidents we find Ty drinking Mai Tais. 98, we find Jay-Z hanging with Ty and B-High. 2001, Blueprint. Ty rolling with Jay and VA. 2003, Black Album. Ty was laughing at them trying to put the pool up. My first song.
That's his man.
2009, Ty is still sipping Mai Tais. He's sitting courtside at the Knicks and Nets giving Jay high five. 2018, when Ty mama died, Jay-Z was there. When Jay-Z nephew died, Ty was there. Ty had to have more than B and Jay. Ty gonna take care of the kid when Jay passed away. To me, just as much as we know about Jay-Z and Beyonce, we know Ty still around.
No,
shout out to Ty.
That's how it's supposed to be, man. That's how it's supposed to be.
To me, that stood out more than anything. Ty has become one of the most famous friends, and I think that has to say something about their loyalty in that relationship. And I felt like that just stood out to me.
The money.
You don't have the same enthusiasm as I had.
The money
thing. Huh?
I don't have the same enthusiasm about what?
You don't have the same enthusiasm as I did, but I thought that was Hall of Fame podcasting right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get research.
I'm trying to get a people Hall of Fame podcasting, and you ain't bigging me up. I bet you Tata was bigging me up.
Tata stand and give you a round of applause, standing ovation.
I bet you Tata would have been.
I appreciate it. You went down, you went back in the crates, you researched the lyrics and pulled out the line. That was well done.
Yeah, that Hall of Fame podcast, right?
That is top 5. I give you that.
So I just thought that was, to me, in all due seriousness though, I thought the album is okay. Again, it wasn't great. Few songs on the tracks, felt rushed. But shout out to Tata.
Is this Jay losing the juice? Are we having Carter's fatigue? Are we fatigued by just the magnanimity of Beyonce and Jay-Z? Are we ready for a new drink?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Jay-Z just got hired by Puma to be their creative director of basketball operations.
That is a good look.
Puma has decided to reboot their basketball brand. If you remember, the last most famous basketball player to wear the Puma was actually Vince Carter. Vince Carter kind of made it pretty popular when he wore the Pumas, playing with the Toronto Raptors. They've decided to reboot it. They reached out to Jay-Z, who is also president of Rock Nation Sports, which I felt like that could or could not be a conflict of interest for Jay-Z to be the creative director. But I felt that interesting because what is the creative director of basketball operation? So I had to Google it, right? So I was like, what is creative director of basketball operation? I Googled that. I put it in the Google machine.
Yeah.
And what came back is that there is a guy, David Bradley, at Duke. He's on the staff at Duke. He shares the same role at Duke. And they describe the role at Duke, the creative director, as the role that Bradley oversees for Duke men's basketball, social media strategy, messaging, and branding. So it sounds like creative basketball or creative director of basketball operation is more marketing.
It is, yeah. I can see
and
that.
So when I saw that they were essentially making Jay-Z over the marketing for their Puma brand, given what we've seen from a marketing approach that Jay-Z, to me that made sense. The question is does Jay-Z still connect to the people? Are the millennials, are they going to be interested in a Jay-Z marketing strategy, Jay-Z led brand?
Well,
like Puma.
I think it's good though. It's good for Puma because Jay-Z is linked in. He's linked into hip hop, so he's established himself as a staple in hip hop. and then he has that Rock Nation thing going on, Rock Nation Sports. So he'll be able to connect with the athletes from a business standpoint, because everybody is looking at Jay-Z and looking at how he's built his wealth and built his own personal brand, and they're taking like gems from him. So I think he'll be able to connect with the entrepreneurs and those athletes, and by way of building that connection, then that helps Puma as far as obtaining this talent. These guys that are willing to wear their apparel, willing to wear their shoes, and associate with the brand. So I think it'll work. His music, you know, it may extend a little bit past our age group, but I don't know how many 20, 19, 18-year-olds are really checking for Jay-Z. They are checking, I would imagine, more for those people that was on that double XL freshman cover. So
exactly,
the music connection is probably fading, but his connection to these athletes who are looking to be the next billionaire, who really want to build this money and this wealth up to where it far exceeds, you know, just what the basketball can bring them. I think they'll be all ears and really be locked in to hearing what he has.
Kevin Durant is signed with Rock Nation Sports. You think Jay-Z can convince Kevin Durant to get a shoe deal with Puma?
He could, because at the end of the day, it comes down to that money and your negotiation leverage. So if Puma can give him more, probably give him more of an ability to decide what he wants to do, give him more hands-on in the development of his shoe, and then also don't tie in that he gets more of a return on those money and more ownership or something like that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening.
Really?
And on the front end, when you have this brand out here in Puma that's looking to get in a piece of the market, they may be willing to do some things early with some of these more established people and give them more for the sake of being able to create that buzz. We could see like some real things taking place. I'm sure by naming Jay-Z the creative director of basketball operations, by naming him that, by putting him in there, that signals to me that they're looking for some big returns, if nothing else, based off of his association with these other people.
I mean, I was trying to pull up their lineup from a basketball perspective. You got Angel Delgado, you got Chris Levert and Everett. They got a few guys on here that he rep. Danny Green. Is he gonna get any of these guys to sign with Puma? I don't know. Well, time will tell.
But they grabbed some of these guys that was in that recent draft though. This last one that just went by, they got Marvin Bagley, and they signed him to a rookie deal. So they did tap some of these young guys, this young talent coming into the league, fresh and raw. It may be safe to say that that these early signees will determine the trajectory of what they do in the years to come. If these kids mess around and have good years, and they come out with a dope shoe that's fly, and people buying it.
Maybe I don't know, and maybe I need to dig into Rock Nation Sports, because perhaps that's trending up, the stock market, and because it's trending up. Because I'm looking at their roster, and I didn't even know that they had Leonard Fournette, Todd Gurley. They got Saquon Barkley. Those some big name guys. Rudy Gay. They got some big name guys on there. So,
and they also jump over into other sports. They got a few guys that are playing baseball.
Oh, absolutely. I knew. Yeah.
Signed to Rock Nations. So there's something going on. And it may be as simple as having somebody in in your corner that at least speaks the same language that you do, versus then going to somebody that don't look like you, that don't speak that language.
I did see that they just signed Jalen Rose too. I thought that was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very interesting pen to pad, because that they got Hugh Jackson. I didn't know they had Hugh Jackson, Cleveland Browns head coach. So perhaps I'm not as in tune with what they're doing over at Raw Nation Sports, but they have some guys in positions where they can really make some noise. That they can really make some noise. What you got next?
Shout out to Emery too, man. You hear him talk about Emery. Emery has been influential because he's been talking about that whole Puma and been working with Puma for a while now. So I'm sure he has some play in this whole thing too. So shout out to M. They keeping it in house. The guys have been down with him forever. They ain't just sitting back and leeching off of what he doing. He got some players out there that's been moving and shaking on their own and helping build that brand. It reminds me a lot of what you talk about all the time with LeBron James.
That power circle,
yeah,
Rich Paul and those guys. That's what it is. That's LeBron James is taking he's following the blueprint laid out by Jay, and you know he's keeping his guys. He's keeping it tight, close in. Yeah, Emery. We can shout out Emery, but Emery ain't getting the kids.
Yeah, he might be next in line. He probably he Godfather too. He Godfather B. There's Godfather A and Godfather.
In Friends, Jay say when he die and Ty he done grieving, he gonna take care of the kids.
Godfather 1, and then there's a Godfather 1A.
For me, I mean Jay-Z is the GOAT. He always be in my top 5. You got guys like Jay, Scarface, 3 Stacks. They in my top 5. So I just wanted to lift my top 5.
Yeah, I think we appreciate that. But musically, he got a lot to compete against in terms of what these kids are listening to. Because if you pay attention to your Instagram, your timeline, YouTube, Facebook, the music that they are listening to, the music that gets them excited, the artists that they have just this magnificent amount of loyalty to, is some different stuff. Like it has some different channels to it. And unfortunately, in this past week, one of those artists that is well known and well liked, XXX Tentacion, was shot and killed in Florida. They were in the midst of a robbery. Somebody got in his car and shot him and killed him. And
they say it was like 4 o'clock in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like in the daytime. The video shows him just leaving a motorcycle shop and got in his car and was leaving the dealership, and they came down on him. 20 years old, man. 20 years old. But he has an interesting story. If you've seen him, if you've heard his interviews or listened to some of his songs, it's very dark. Like his stuff was really dark. He talked a lot about suicide, and he also talked a lot about death, and where all that come from. You probably had to dig into his history, but he was a I hate to use the word trouble, but he had a lot going on. He had been in trouble with the laws a lot, beat up his girlfriend, been in jail for assault prior to, all through the juvenile system. So he had this story, and on the back end of his death has been some even stranger things. One, at the scene, there's actually video of the scene, the crime scene, where he's just laying in the car after being shot, and people are standing around, and naturally somebody is recording this whole thing. Like, nobody lightweight trying to do no CPR. You don't hear nobody really frantically screaming. It's just like, we just here to observe as if we observing at the zoo. People saying that he spoke this into existence by him talking about death, by him talking about killing other people and harming other folks. This is the result of that. When you put that bad energy out there, this is what you can expect to get in return. And then after that is the people coming out and saying how legendary his work was. He got a lot of major cosigns from some of your favorite artists, 2 Chainz, J. Cole, and things like that, talking about how bright his future was, how he was in the process of turning his life over. But I came across an article, and I think it was from Damon Young, who is co-founder of Very Smart Brothers. And his article was along the lines of, if you really cared about XXX Tentacion, he would still be alive. And how we've got into this mode of mourning, and we're RIPing, and we showing our appreciation for these people after they die, but we don't hold them accountable, or we don't talk to them and draw lines when they're doing things that we may not agree with, or when we see them going down a road that is leading to this tragedy, we don't say anything to them then. But after they've find this particular type of fate, then it's like he was a great young man to have all these things about it. So to me, it's just another one of those byproducts of how removed we are socially. Social media and being able to, you got people going on like his father on Instagram. Everybody got to make a Instagram video in a moment like this. Now, I don't know about you, and I don't know about anybody else, but that's the lad play. In the midst of somebody, my son or daughter, something happening to them, that's the last damn place you're going to find me, is on Instagram making a video.
I didn't listen to his music, so I can't speak to the music. And to be quite honest, I didn't know his backstory until I looked it up, and kind of the summary that you gave is when I started hearing about the young man's backstory. So I got a question for you. Was he ever a freshman on the freshman cover of XXL?
I think he actually was. I think he was a freshman last year, 2017.
Okay, so he was on the cover once before. It's sad. It's disheartening. Mental health is a serious issue in our community. And I think that we continue to enable, or correction, not enable, but we continue to ignore signs of mental health issues. And it even starts at a young age. I mean, even my wife, who used to be in the classroom, could speak to some of the young people that she taught, and how the parents and grandparents would come up there and make excuses for the children.
Valid.
And to be quite honest, the child needs some mental help. And so in our community, we do a poor job of recognizing and calling a spade, in this case, calling mental illness. And someone who sounds like was very talented as an artist, we allow his artistic ability and his creativity to essentially be okay, and to hide the fact that he did these other things like domestic violence, or that he was speaking death into existence in this case. And it's sad. And so I don't know the answer. I was looking at a video here recently on YouTube, and Denzel was giving a commencement speech, and he said something interesting. He said, "Are you using social media, or is social media using you?" And we've gotten so caught up in social media. We've gotten so caught up in Instagram. You mentioned his father on Instagram giving out a post, using that as his means to communicate to the masses. And I wonder, are we at a place now where, to your point, we become so dysfunctional, and we've become so dysfunctional as being able to relate to people that we've transitioned to social media and different apps now controlling us. And where do we go from here? You got guys like Kanye and them that were, who has his own issues, but you mentioned J. Cole. These guys are connected to these young people and have an opportunity to speak to them. And it's not until after the fact that they decide. Chief Keef, a guy who was very well respected. 50, I think 50 might try to mentor him, but you got guys like 50 and Jay-Z who just rapped about him in that ape shit. Are they reaching out to these guys? Because he seemed like he on his way to a similar situation. Probably a good young man, but
yeah, even this kid, man. If you listen to him, you can tell that he is aware and the intellect is there. But they're 20 years old, so like even from just a science standpoint, the human brain ain't fully developed until you about 25 years old. So kids are just working off of emotions and things like that, right? And so all of us have to be in places to where people had to give us a speech about how you control your emotion. I used to blow up after basketball games all the time. When I was young, we lose a basketball game, I'd be mad, throwing stuff and all that type of stuff. Until one day my dad snatched me up and was like, you can't respond like that. I mean, and I was fortunate enough to have different individuals along the way. And so my heart goes out to a lot of these kids because they may not have these checks and balances. So they just figuring it out all the time. And they're acting off of these emotions. He had a friend that committed suicide. So naturally, that's trauma in itself. How do you deal with your closest friend committing suicide on your own? Like, I would imagine that to be damn near impossible. So you go to the music. The music to you is therapeutic because you're able to talk it out.
Yeah, but where the football coaches at? Where the little league coaches at? That would do those things, Mentorship is definitely an area for improvement as well as that mental health in our community.
Yeah, it's tough though, man. It's tough though with all that they're dealing with in their real lives, and now they are getting heavy doses of these other aspects of the world. Because of that thing that we carry around in our hand. So much so that allegedly the guy that they arrested in this particular murder had gone onto his Twitter and posted a video of him saying that he had just killed XXX Tentacion. And then came on and made another post about don't make me mad because bad things can happen. Now the videos have been deleted. And maybe the person that did it ain't the one that actually did it, but just the thought of trolling to the point of where you would get on here on this thing in the midst of whatever type of consequences that come with it. You get on the thing and say, I just killed somebody. That's crazy. I saw another video where a guy gets dragged out of a store and gets stabbed to death. And somebody is videoing this. We live for the tragedy. No doubt about it. In our civilization, over the last several hundreds of years, we've been conditioned to live for the tragedy. Shakespeare, you read anything about Shakespeare, tragedy. It was built on the tragedy. Somebody doing something, some type of betrayal, somebody get killed. Think about the Coliseum where they put the dudes in the ring and they just battle it out to the death. So we still have that due to just social cultivation. We live for the tragedy. But it's gone so far and it's gone so unchecked that who knows what the limits are, if there are any limits. It's our music and the things that we enjoy from an entertainment standpoint as a black community. Are our things much more detrimental in comparison to what other groups lean to, the other popular music genre in other ethnic groups and other visual things, because we got hip hop. Hip hop, it can be very violent. It can be very violent and vile. We got a lot of shows that we like. Some I enjoy. Love and Hip Hop historically was one of them. You know, where the whole storyline is centered around beef and fighting. Like, are we the only ones, or is it just our bias because those are the only things we tuned into?
I think that's all that
you. That question.
No, I think that's all that you're aware of. If you do like I might do tonight, and you've tuned in to A&E Live PD, you'll see the other side of the spectrum. You got country music. I'm sure some of these folks that appear on Live PD in Richland County, in Monroe County, and the El Paso ain't listening to hip hop. They listening to today's genre.
Yeah.
Richland County listening to today's genre. So I think that's the only thing that you tuned into. So I think you have to be a little bit more open when it comes to that particular topic.
I've been fighting with that, man. I've been fighting with that, especially after this particular situation and seeing some of the other stuff that I see and how normalized it's been. And you know, all of mine and everything that I've seen has had people that look like me involved in it. I had to stop and be like, man, are we the only ones that's being faced with this, or is this just a subsection because that's the only thing that I'm exposed to? So I'm sure other people asking this.
Gwinnett County Gwinnett County might be listening to your genre of music. Yeah. Gwinnett County, but Richland County, they not listening to. If you watch Live PD, if you watch Live PD, then you know what I'm talking about. So that's actually something that we should talk about soon. Hey, before we get up out of here, two things. We went heavy on this last topic. I wanted to ask two questions, but the first one, before we close out with my final question, last week video surfaced of the Pittsburgh Steelers inviting Snoop Dogg to their 2018 training.
Oh, that's what that. Okay.
So
continue.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers tweeted, "See you at camp," and ESPN go to lunch. They went out and they launched a video of Snoop Dogg getting ready for training camp. So what I would like to do, if you're okay with this, if I was at the camp and if I was encouraging Snoop Dogg, who, I mean, let's give credit. Snoop is an older guy. He's older in age. He has, if you haven't seen the series on Netflix, Coach Snoop, great series. By far, gave me a total different perspective on Snoop as a football coach. I felt like what he was doing with that series and with those children was phenomenal. Not sure how much football Snoop played, but he loves the game. Big time Steelers fan, love Little League football. But they got footage of him working out. And I'm a press play, and I would like to essentially give my commentary as to what I see. Get your knees up, Snoop. Snoop, get your knees up. Go back. Get your knees up, Snoop. Get your knees up, Snoop. All right, break down. Go. Shift. Back pedal.
Work your hip.
Catch the football, Snoop. Move your hands, Chief. Pump your arms, Snoop. Bump your arms, Snoop. Pump your arms, Snoop. Pump. Get your feet up. In, out. Pump your arms, Snoop. High and tight. Hold the football high and tight, Snoop. You got to hold it high and tight. Now kick the bag.
A couple of things. Let's talk about Snoop wardrobe. So Snoop got on the basketball jersey. Then he came out with the shooter sleeve on the one arm. He went Iverson on him. Got the tights on with the long sock and some all white, small whites on. In slow motion. Work,
Why he got his shoes up? Why he got his socks all the way up?
That wear coat style with the tights on. Then kick the bag. how many times, how many rounds of that do you think Snoop did? I hope he did more than that one round. Because if he just did that one round, he ain't going to be ready. Uncle Snoop ain't going to be ready.
Snoop, in order to be prepared, I need you to pump your arms. You need to get your knees up. You need to break down. You got to have good hip movement in the game of football.
They gonna let Snoop put on full pad.
He gonna look like Sam Bradford out there in a Halloween costume, because Sam Bradford definitely looked like he in a Halloween costume with that uniform that he wears. So Snoop definitely, with his slim self, his pants would probably be sagging.
Yeah, they ain't gonna be able to find the side. He gonna be like, we always had a player, man. We always had a player on the team where they couldn't find the right pants to fit him. He had to, they didn't make him small enough, so his butt pad be down by his thighs somewhere. They just won't stay up.
I had to watch it again. Look at Snoop. Catch the football, Snoop. Look at him. Back pedal, back pedal, back pedal, back pedal. Over the cone, in and out, in and out, in and out. Pump your arms, Snoop. Pump your arms. Pump your arms, Snoop.
Somebody thought this
in and out.
Somebody thought this was a good idea.
They set him up then.
Somebody thought, he probably told them to. He probably did that for the ground.
He gonna fumble the football. Did you see where he had the football? It wasn't high and tight. It was loose. DB gonna come from behind, and they gonna strip it from you, Snoop. So you got some areas of improvement, but I can appreciate the effort. I can appreciate the effort. Last one.
I love Snoop.
So we did the top three. Oh, I love Snoop too. Shout out to Snoop. Love Snoop. Go check out his Netflix. Coach Snoop. Very entertaining. Last one. So we did the top three veggies. I thought that was entertaining for the people. We had an interesting debate on Flip Phone Society. Another podcast, D1 Sports Talk. We talk about Flip Phone Society. Sent out a random text message because we wanted to poll. It was a hot topic, hot conversation. We wanted to poll the people. So I felt like this would be a good topic for Freelunch podcast. I'm actually interested in hearing what our listeners think. But the question simply is, when you go to your favorite wing joint, whether it's Wingstop, or what's that?
Magic City.
Whether it's Magic City, whether it's Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wing, and you order your favorite type of wing, whether it's honey barbecue, lemon pepper, Parmesan, garlic,
hot,
mild.
Did you
go ahead.
Did you say BW3?
Yeah, I said BW3, Buffalo Wild Wing, B-Dub. So you go to your favorite wing joint and you order your favorite topping. Do you prefer drumsticks or flats? Now, this was a very interesting conversation on the Flip Phone Society, which is a test group between the guys, because one of the gentlemen said that only kids eat drumsticks. I eat flats. And so he said he only eats flats, and that if you eat drumsticks, then you basically, that's for the kids. Well, the other Flip Phone Society member, Don't Put Your Hands on Me, came back and said, well, I prefer drumsticks. I guess I am a kid.
So this what y'all devoted time to. Y'all could come on that better than the debate about chicken.
Well, we debated about flats versus drumsticks. So the question I posed to the people, and I actually thought about, because I found this interesting now, because I thought that most wing spots would charge you extra for drumsticks. And I feel like on our previous order, my wife got extra flats and they charged her extra. So, BG, I thought that was in there. I thought you would find, in most cases, people like the drumsticks, I felt like. Yeah. And so there would be a bunch of extra flats in the back for the people. Me personally, I've transitioned to the flats. I'm a flat guy. I prefer flats. You can give me, if I'm getting the order, 12 wings, you can give me 8 flats and four drumsticks, and I'll be happy. So
what led to the transition though?
I feel like you get more meat with the flats.
Okay.
See, with them flats, you got to eat it 3 different ways. Then you got to break it in half, and you got this side got meat on it, this side got meat. So I feel like you get more meat with the flats.
Let me guess. The Flip Phone Society member that came up with that Black Mushroom.
Black Mushroom said that the kids eat drumsticks.
Okay. So his wasn't nothing about the meat. It was just like you either an adult or you a kid.
Basically, that's what he is.
Okay.
I came up with my investigation and from my experience eating wings. You get more. To me, you feel like you get more meat with the flats.
Yeah.
So I'm a lemon pepper flat guy.
Yeah.
What about you, BG?
I like chicken, period. So let's just start there. But if I had to choose, I'm gonna go. I like drums. I think they're easier to maneuver with. I think you can eat them more sexy than you can with the flat, because you got to break the flat. You got to break that flat bone to get
that
up
more
in
meat. Yeah, you gotta break that.
Too much work. I don't want to do all that work. I just want to enjoy the food and do.
All right, BG. According to Black Mushroom, then
I'm a kid. I'm like,
we gonna have you over there at the little people table for Thanksgiving.
Well, as long as y'all got them drums over there, I ain't got no problem. Get that lemon pepper cooked hard. I like it cooked hard. Like don't bring that soggy skin out there. Fry that shit hard. Put that lemon pepper. I'm good. Y'all can do what y'all want to do.
Oh, then that's easy. Then you get the flat. You get the drumsticks. I get the flats at Magic City. We good.
Yeah, at the Magic City, because they got the best lemon pepper around, especially in the A. Shout out.
Shout out to the kitchen. So America, tell us what you prefer. What do y'all think? Are you a drumstick guy or girl? Or are you a flat wing man or woman? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we got some country folks, so this should be good. We got some chicken eaters out there.
Shout out to Hart's Chicken down in Mobile.
You been to Hart's lately?
I have.
You can't go down there. You can't even go down there without getting. The first place I ever saw some chicken gizzards on the actual menu. Hart's Chicken. Blew my damn mind.
I have. So America, let us know what you think.
Yeah, man.
And let's get up out of here.
BG. Been a good show. This is the Freelunch Podcast, member of the New South Movement Podcast Network. Check for us, www.newsouthnet.com. Also on Instagram, Freelunch Podcast. Facebook, Freelunch Podcast as well. YouTube, /Freelunch TV, where you can see live and in Technicolor me and Type doing this show every week. You can find me on Instagram, BG_DA27KID, BG_DA27KID. I am BG27 Kid.
And this is your boy Type. I told y'all I am the Rafiki of this game. To all you startups out there, you better tune in, take notes. I'm giving Hall of Fame type stuff on the podcast. That's why Rafiki always is on my left shoulder. Follow me, tight_, the Rafiki of this game, and I'm out of here.
Peace.